Welcome to Journey to Queendom, the sacred space where survival ends and sovereignty begins. I'm your host, Marci J. Duncan, and this is where we lay down the cape of overachievement, code switching, and self doubt, and we pick up the crown of softness, wholeness, and authenticity.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Journey to Queendom. I'm your host, Marci J. Duncan, and I am so happy that you are here again this week to continue this journey with me, my journey to Queendom. And hopefully, you're on a journey too. And there's some things here that I've said along the way that maybe can help you too. Let's start with our check-in from last week. The reflection that I had you all to think about was
This meditation, my body is not broken. My body is blessed. My body will do exactly what it's supposed to do. Answer these questions in your workbook. What is your relationship with your body? Where do you carry grief, joy, shame, or love in your body? And what does peace look like for you in your body? What does that feel like? Again, the affirmation, my body is not broken. My body is blessed. My body will do what it's supposed to do.
I want to remind you too that there is a companion workbook that goes along with the podcast. And the link is down below in the show notes. But just in case, you can go to Artists at Play workshops.com and you can download your copy right there on the website. Just go to the shop and it's right there. All right, so let's get into the meditation for today, which is going to carry us from last week, which is I'm worthy of being seen, known, and loved, just as I am. Just as I am. No hiding, no shrinking back, no playing small. All of me is worthy of all. All right, y'all, let's get into this week's episode, Lessons from Love. All right, so now I'm going to get a little personal in this episode, as if I haven't been already. But anyway, y'all going to get into my house with this episode. So we're going to talk about the lessons that I've learned from my husband and just his faithfulness, his loyalty, his consistency, and his unconditional love to me. I met my husband through my sister, actually, my younger sister, Toya. She said, hey, it's this guy that works with me. I want you to meet him. And I'm like, yeah, cool. What's up? Hook it up. We'll meet. I wasn't really thinking too much about it, honestly, because I was out there at that time. Honey, I was so tired of men at this time. I had started this journey of like, okay, Lord, I need to know what love is because obviously it ain't hitting for me right now. So tell me, God, what is love? And God sent me on this journey of investigating love from the perspective of the Word of God. So I started everything that was pertaining to love. I was looking it up. I was researching it. And I just found the love of God. I really found how God loves, why he loves, the depth of his love, which is unmeasurable. And I really started to just dive into that. And in diving into that, I started to love on myself a little bit more. And so that's about where I was when I was entertaining meeting this guy that my sister had suggested. So it was kind of like, y'all, we had MySpace at that time. And so she shared my MySpace page with him, girl. And I didn't know what he looked like. So I don't know if he had MySpace or what, but I didn't know what he looked like. He knew what I looked like, but I didn't know. So what happened was it was a mistake on how we met because we were supposed to kind of like hook up, I guess, somewhere in the future. I just kind of told my sister, yeah, whatever, set it up. So I actually was, my sister lives in Montgomery and I was living in Tallahassee at the time. So I was going to meet my homegirls in Atlanta and we were going to celebrate New Year's Eve in Atlanta. Shout out to my homegirls, Erica and Riv. And we were going to just, bring in the new year in Atlanta. So on my way to Atlanta, I stopped in Montgomery and I had my son with me. My son was probably maybe 7, 8, somewhere around in there. And first of all, before I go into this next part, if you know anything about me, I don't play about my son. And at this time, I was a single mom, of course, making it do what it do. We already talked about that. But I don't play about him. Honey, I don't play about him. My son never saw me dating anybody, never saw me entertaining anybody, never saw anybody kissing up, rubbing up on me. I did not play that. I did not want him to be involved with any man unless he was my show enough husband. So put that in your memory, okay? So he was with me. As a matter of fact, I was going to leave him at my sister's house while I partied like it was 1999 in Atlanta. Turns out I'm sitting there getting him all situated because I was going to spend the night getting all situated. And she comes in the room and she's like, I can't remember if it was her or her husband because they both were in cahoots. I love my brother-in-law, by the way. He the best. Anyway, they were in cahoots and I can't remember which one of them came in the room, but one of them came in the room and was like, Joe is on his way. I'm sorry, what? Excuse me. Who is on their way? Joe. The guy I said I wanted you to meet. He's on his way where? Because I'm not ready. I have to be prepared for such things. I'm in here looking a mess because I'm at my sister's house and I'm not planning on being on the love connection tonight. So I start freaking out, y'all. And first of all, another thing about me, I don't freak out about no man. Okay? I don't freak out about no man. I don't know what it was. I think it was because I was not in on the planning of when he was going to come. And because I was not in on that, it took me off guard. And so I started freaking out. Girl, people, I'm going to share this with you. And I don't want you to judge me, but this is what happened. Okay? I was so nervous. First of all, because my son was there. And I didn't play that. I didn't want him meeting my son. Like, we just meeting for the first time. Like, no. So I was like, oh God, my son is here. I don't want him to see me talking to this man. I don't want him to see me acting like this. I'm in my head. So my sister was like, girl, what is going on with you? Do you need some Xanax or something? And I'm like, girl, I don't know. So she was like, well, he is on his way. Get it together. Why did I go in her closet to hide? Why? I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. Okay?
Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to beat all of you up because you all forgot to tell me to put my mic on. So the vocal quality is going to be different in this episode because y'all didn't tell me to put my mic on. Anyway, it's on. So I ran and hid in the closet, y'all. First of all, I went to the closet to defend myself. I went in the closet so that I could find something to put on. Because like I said, I was not there to meet no man. So I was just like really roughing it. So I was like, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? And I'm just going through her closet like, does this look okay? Does this look okay? I'm putting on her sweatshirts like, is this all right? Is this all right? And she's like, Marci, honey, what is up? Because she had never seen me like this. I had never seen me like this. I had no idea why I was so nervous. And of course, when I get nervous, I yap. Yap, 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 yap. So when this man came over, I was still in the closet. And I don't know how I left the closet. Maybe my sister pushed me out. I don't know. But the next memory I have is me in the room with him and we're talking. And of course, I'm nervous. So I'm standing so close to him. I don't know why. He looks like he's going to break out. He looks like he's going to break out into a holy sweat. Okay. I am standing so close to him. But I don't know this is what I'm doing, y'all. I'm so nervous that I'm just yap, 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 yap. And I'm talking and talking and talking and talking. That poor man, he did not get a word in edgewise. I don't even remember what the conversation was, but in true Marci fashion, a baby girl had won him over. Okay. So, needless to say, with that, we just started talking on the phone because we lived in two different places. He lived there, and I lived in Tallahassee. So we started talking on the phone. We exchanged numbers, and we just talked. I think on my way back, we agreed, or we set up a little date to meet at the mall and have lunch, which was super awkward because he looked like he was he was about to vomit, and I'm pretty sure I didn't stop talking the whole time. So that was that. And that's how we started, right? First of all, I just want to say this man was not my typical type. Um, Now, first of all, let me say this before we go any further. The man was fine. Okay. So check. That's my type. That's everybody type. And he was handsome. The things that I'm talking about, like, are he was younger than me. He was 4 years younger than me. Homie didn't play that. Okay. I need me a grown man. I need me a mature man. This me. He was quiet. He was very quiet. And my first impression was like he's shy and he's kind of nervous. And homie didn't play that either. Like, I like my man strong and assertive and Tupac, okay? Tupac Shakur, all right? And so this was so out of my comfort zone. This was so not what I would be doing, okay? So we met, we had lunch, and from that day forward, we just started talking all the time on the phone. Now, rewind back to the time where I said I was researching what love was in the Word of God. And that's what I did. I researched what love was, and God had shown me so much about who He was. And um, I realized that what I was attracting was not it. Right. And I started getting sick of it. I just was like, this is getting on my nerves. So I prayed to God, and you could call this a version of the Sierra prayer. This was a long time ago. So technically, I did it first. It's the Marci prayer. But I just prayed a very simple prayer. I was just like, Lord, please let him be kind. I'm tired of men being mean and ghosting and lying and doing all of that foolishness, Lord. I'm just tired of that. Just let him be kind. And Lord, let him love you more than he loves me. And the last thing I remember saying is, please, Lord, let him be fine. Because I can't wake up to no ugly man. I can't roll over to no ugly man. Please, Jesus. Amen. That was my prayer. And that was my prayer, y'all. And it, it really, God delivered. God delivered. First of all, let me tell you, I had never dealt with a kind man before. Now, I've had dated people that were nice, men that were nice, and eventually it just it wasn't consistent. I had met and dated men that were very nice, but that was really it. Like, there was nothing, no ambition, no like get up and go, the other things that I'm attracted to. So in my world, nice was stereotypical, like nice guys finish last. Like, bring me flowers for what? Opening the door for me, I could do it myself. Things like that. I was just like, please, you're trying too hard. You're doing too much. So when I met Joe, he was all about it. First of all, he's from Alabama and he is a Southern man, and he is all about chivalry, which I was like, what you doing and why? So we had language barriers when it came to um, demonstrative affection or love. I was like speaking a whole different language. I was like, leave me alone. You sit over there, I sit over here. Hold my hand sometimes, but not all the time. And I'm being facetious, but y'all, I was really crazy. I was really crazy because I was not used to a kind hearted man. Okay. Not a kind hearted man who literally just wanted to make me happy. And for the life of me, that confused me. It confused me because I'm like, why are you doing all of this? My man would write me poems, which were beautiful poems, by the way. He would bring me flowers. You know, he would open the door for me. He would come around the car. He was doing all of these things. And when in my brain, I'm like, this gonna get old. He gonna stop. But it never did. It never did, y'all. So meeting this kind man was different for me. It was different for me. And I realized that it's something that I needed, but it wasn't something that I knew how to accept. And we'll get back to that. So Joe and I started dating, and we had become serious. And it was bumpy because we were dating long distance. And, again, if you know me, I don't like to talk on the phone. I just rather the person be there, or I call you, I check in. All right, I'll let you by. Like staying on the phone all day and night. That's just not, it just wasn't me. And that's really all we had. And I never really dated in a long distance relationship. So there were so many learning curves that I was having to deal with. And him too, because this wasn't his jam either. But we did it. And so I remember going to the store because I'm like, I'm tired of holding this phone, Lord, on my ear. So I'm like, I need some Bluetooth. Back then it was like the headphone that you put on with the mic. You look like a truck driver. Honey, that's what we had. And so we would call each other on Skype. Y'all remember Skype? We would do those video calls. We were doing the best we could. We made a little deal that we would see each other every 2 weeks. Either I would go and see him or he would come and see me. And so we were doing well with that. But then that man started requiring more. He was like, I want to see you more. Like, I want to talk to you more. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, why? Why? Why do you want that? We're fine. Y'all, I was crazy. I was crazy. Again, I did not know what to do with all of this that he was giving me. I immediately felt like it was something wrong with him and that this was a red flag. So I started having like, oh God, what's happening? What's happening? And I'm sure he could sense it. I'm sure he could sense it because what came next was like, whoa. I remember it was like Valentine's Day and he had come up to see me. He had, brought me some chocolate and a bear and some flowers and all that stuff. And we had done some stuff. I don't know if we were in Tallahassee or if we had met somewhere because we would meet like in Pensacola or Destin. Anyway, we were together. And I remember him saying to me, Marci, I'm trying to be with you and I want to date you with the intention of marriage. Now, if this is not what you on, then we can go ahead and end it right here. You just let me know. That way, neither of us is wasting any time. And I'm looking at him just like I'm looking at this camera. Um, wow. Nobody had ever been that straight up with me as it relates to their intentions for us. I mean, he was very clear and he was very serious. I mean, he looked me in my eyes and he was like, look here, Shawty, what you trying to do? I'm trying to be with you. Yes or no? Now, he didn't say it like that, okay? Because he don't talk like that. That's me, okay? But he laid it down. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's do this, player. Let's go. And I shocked myself because normally my response would be, it is what it is. If you don't like how we going, then that's on you, bro. Right? But it mattered to me whether this man walked away from me. It mattered to me. And I felt it instantly. Like in that moment when he said that, the thought of him walking out of that door and I never speak to him again, I never talk to him again. No, I was not having that. No, 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 no. I need you. If you go, I'm going to. Like I was on that, y'all. And that was shocking to me because again, I could put those feelings in and take them away just as easy as one, two, three. And so what I was feeling and experiencing was so different for me. And I'm sure it was quite confusing for him because he was like, "Are you an alien? What's wrong with you?" Anyway, he gave me that ultimatum. And I said, heck to the yes. And we started dating with the intention of marriage. Um, and as we were dating and we would go on these little dates and things and these little, you know, vacation things and all of this. Now, if you also know anything about me, yes, I will click on you. I will click on you, especially if I feel like you are feeling some type of way. Like, for example, if I'm at a restaurant and the waitress or waiter is giving me, "I don't want to be here. What do you want?" Mm-mm. That is the perfect opportunity for me to click on you. Okay. But this is what happened to me, y'all. I remember we went on some date. We were in some city. We were going to eat, and the waitress sat us by the bathroom. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine. A pet peeve of mine. Of course, Joe didn't know it at the time, and I was about to go ham. I was about to go ham. As a matter of fact, I had started. I'm like, "Ma'am, do you not have any other seats in this entire restaurant other than by the restroom?" I don't sit by the restroom. And I happened to lock eyes with Joe, and he was looking at me like, "What is wrong with you? Leave that poor woman alone. Stop." What? Now, he didn't say anything to me, but I caught his eyes and immediately I felt shame. I felt ashamed. And again, y'all, I'm experiencing stuff I'd never experienced before in my life. Okay. Before I would click on that woman and I would go on about my business and nobody would be saying anything to me about it. But in his eyes was accountability. It was accountability and I felt it immediately, y'all. So I started feeling real stupid for trying to click on people, for being mean to people when I was with this man who was genuinely nice and gave everybody the benefit of the doubt, was nice to everybody. And it was who he was. It wasn't just what he was doing, it was who he was, y'all. I felt like there was a mirror in front of me showing me what I look like. And I did not like it. I did not like that. So again, all of these things started to pop up and I started experiencing all of these things. And I was like, I don't know what to do with all of this. All I knew was that I was incredibly happy with him and he made me happy. And I wanted to be with this man for the rest of my life. That's all I had, y'all. And I was in my 30s when we started dating. And I think I was like 32, 33 when we got married. I think. I don't know, girl. But I always say I made a sound decision. We decided to not be intimate while we dated and that we were going to wait until the wedding night. We both decided that because we were both Christians and that's what we believed. And I was like, yeah, this is the one. Let me see how long he lasts. Honey, that man lasted a holy last. Do you hear me? He was a holy last. I mean, I was even trying to be fast, and he was like, "No, ma'am, shut it down. Stop it. Devil, get thee behind me." Now, he didn't say it like that, but he would straight up ignore my fast self. He would ignore me. Like I would make a comment, and he would just act like I didn't say nothing. No, I was crazy. I was crazy, but I'm loving. I'm very loving. So I knew this man was different. I knew this man was different and I knew I hit the jackpot. So I was not letting him go. So we got married on the beach, just the way we wanted it. It was about 80 to 100 people. We rented this beautiful beach house and we got married in the back on the bay side of Navarre Beach. And it was a lovely, sweet ceremony. And y'all, y'all, again, this man made me so nervous, y'all. He made me feel like I was 12 years old. And I never was out of control of myself like this. But he just made me so nervous. Child, on that wedding night, I was so nervous. Y'all, I was so nervous. And you can imagine why. I mean, we had not All we had done was like make out, but that was it. And I was just so nervous to be exposed in that way, y'all. Why, when everybody left and it was just he and I, and we were like talking or whatever, I could not stop talking. What do I do when I get nervous, y'all? I just talking, 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 talking. And I was just talking, talking, talking. And he ended up having to tell me to be quiet. He had to tell me to be quiet, y'all. And he just kissed me. And he was so sweet. But that was the beginning of this beautiful love that I did not know at the time. The longer we were together, the more those skeletons in my closet would try to escape. Now, our first couple of years, it was bliss. It was bliss. Of course, there's the regular things when, oh, he, turn the toilet paper roll this way, I turn it this way. He doesn't clean up when he brushes his teeth. Okay, I'll wipe it down. That kind of thing. But it was nothing like, oh God, I made a mistake. It was nothing like that. So it was good. It was good. My son saw me happy and he understood that this man made me happy and that made him happy and that made him happy. It made me happy. And so it was just a loving situation. Um, until we decided that we were going to have a baby. Like we were a couple years in and we decided, hey, yeah, I think it's time. Let's try. And it didn't happen. And it didn't happen for months and months and months. And now I can't hide that side of me that is angry with God, angry with myself, because I feel like I should be able to do this. I don't understand why God is not making this happen. I mean, this is the most wholesome man you would ever know. All he's ever wanted to be was a wife, a husband, and a father. Come on, God. I need to be able to do this. I need to be able to do this. I have a son, but he doesn't have a child, Lord. So I'm going round and around and around with God. I'm getting angrier and angrier and angrier and angrier. And where am I taking that anger out? Him. I'm walking around not talking. There's nothing that he can do to make me happy. And I pretended to be happy, of course, because I wasn't being mean to him, of course. But there was something that clearly I was trying not to talk about. I was trying not to deal with him because that meant me being vulnerable in that way. And I just didn't feel comfortable. I did not feel comfortable doing that. So we were not getting pregnant. The doctor said it'll be pretty impossible for me to have a baby on my own because of the endometriosis and the fibroids and the scar tissue. My uterus was a mess. And the sperm would not be able to find the egg because of all of the scar tissue. And this was devastating to me. This was devastating. I took it extremely personal because, of course, I'm worried about him feeling like he got a bad deal when he got me, like I didn't work as a woman. All of these things, y'all, all of these thoughts started to really come down on me. And it was difficult for me to deal with them. I wasn't talking to my family. I mean, I would talk to my sister, but I wasn't really vulnerable enough to really explain that I was suffering. I was suffering. I was dying on the inside with so much guilt and so much turmoil. So we decided to do IVF. We talked about it. Actually, I decided to do IVF. He was on the fence about it. And I got mad about that because I was like, what's wrong with you? I'm trying to make this thing happen for you, you know? And I didn't understand why he had pause. Well, he had pause because we couldn't afford it. And it was very expensive. But I was adamant. I was adamant. And he finally got on board with me. And I convinced myself that it was what we both wanted. So I just went 100% forward and got us into debt going through with this procedure. And we started IVF. And I remember one day I had mixed up one of the medications and I just started to lose it because I was like, oh my God, I've messed up one of the medications. Something's going to happen. Da, 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 da. Well, I don't know if it was because of the medication, but we ended up miscarrying. And that, as you can imagine, was so rough for me. And what I did was I just shut myself in the room, turned off all the lights, and I wept and wept and wept and wept, curled up in a ball. And I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to deal with this, share my grief with anybody but myself. And I didn't understand why I was doing that at the time. Of course, years in therapy, I do understand now because it was an act of vulnerability to share your grief. And I didn't even consider that this man is grieving as well. That this man just experienced a loss as well. I didn't even consider that because I was so lost in my grief and the disappointment in myself for not being able to do this, the disappointment in God for not allowing this to happen for us. I was so lost in that I didn't even see him. I couldn't even see him grieving. I couldn't even share that grief with him because I was taking all the blame because it was my body. What if it was the medication that I mixed up? What if it was, this show I was working on while I was pregnant? What if it was this? What if it was that? And I just could not bear him blaming me. So I went inside myself and punished myself by myself. And I don't know if he knew that that's what was happening or not, but I wouldn't allow him to get near me in terms of talking about it. And I didn't. I took some time off. I got over it. And I said, okay, we can't afford to do that again. So, God, it's on you. And that's where I left it. I also didn't think that during this first year of our relationship, I'm going to go back a little bit, that I would have to then deal with grief in the way that I did when I lost my sister, my oldest sister, Kalisa. She died unexpectedly and it rocked my family's world. And I remember going on a trip with my sister, my youngest sister, Toya, and my oldest sister's kids, because we just kind of took them and loved on them. And I remember being on that trip and I was so angry. And I couldn't understand why I was so angry. Looking at my younger sister, everything she did, everything she said got on my nerves. Same thing with my nieces. I was just filled with so much anger that I just felt like I'm going to snap somebody's neck. I can take somebody out right now. And I'm not exaggerating. And it was when I got back from that trip that I called my younger sister and I had to apologize because I knew I was out of control, mean. And I told her, I was like, I think I need some help. I think I need some help. I'm not dealing with this grief very well. And that's when I started therapy for the first time. And it changed the trajectory of my life because I remember sitting in there going, I just got married. I have a son. I can't stop living. I can't stop being who I am. That's not who he married. That's not the mother to this son. And I remember thinking, I don't have the strength to make the decision to keep going. But when I started therapy, that's where I found the tools to keep going. And so now I find myself there again with with the miscarriage after IVF. And so I tapped back in and it gave me peace. The trauma from my past really started to show up. You know, When I got married, I thought we would always be in sync. Now, we would have our little disagreements, but when it came down to a decision, a big decision, we would always be in sync. I thought I was supposed to come home every day from being the boss at my job, cook this soul food 8-course meal, get my son bathed and ready for school, do his homework, put him to sleep, and then swing from the chandeliers for my husband so good that he calls me Queen of Wakanda for the next 2 weeks. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that he's supposed to treat me like this princess, that everything I want, I get, right? That he doesn't say no to me, that when it came to money, he would mind his business and I would mind my business, right? When it came to when we would have kids, when we decided we want to have kids, it would happen right away, right? I thought that I wouldn't be grieving, having to deal with grief during this marriage, you know? But what happened was I got sick. I had miscarriages. I had a baby die in utero. I was infertile. And I was extremely tired and angry of doing it all. Because if that man tried to help me, I would refuse. Because it was my responsibility to hold that house down. It was my responsibility to pick myself up with all of this grief and with all of this trauma to make it do what it do. To show up in the world like I got it all together, like I'm strong and I can get through anything. Cook every night, clean this house from top to bottom, take care of this child, take care of my husband and every need that he has. And y'all, I was getting angrier and angrier and angrier. I had it all wrong. And now we're years in and I'm angry all the time. And I can't understand why I'm doing some of the things that I'm doing. I can't understand why my body doesn't want to be connected to my husband. I don't understand why I am depressed and I have anxiety. I started to be unrecognizable, like I was when my sister passed. And I said, okay, I got to go to therapy again. Now, I have been going to therapy pretty much all of our relationship, off and on and off and on. I would tap out, tap in, tap out, tap in. But this was absolutely a moment that I needed to tap in. Stay tuned for part 2 next week. Thank you for walking this stretch of the journey with me. If something in today's episode stirred your spirit, share this episode with a sister. Leave a review or connect with me on social media. Remember, your softness is sacred. Your healing is your birthright. And your queendom, it's already within you. Until next time, keep rising and claim your inheritance. This podcast was brought to you by Artists at Play, nurturing the artist within. If you would like to download a copy of the Journey to Queendom podcast companion workbook, visit artistsatplayworkshops.com.